Good morning, I'm Rabbi Megan GoldMarche. This is my first recording of a base of our Torah for Parshat Vayera that I am giving at the Rose Crown Minyan in Chicago tomorrow morning, Saturday, November 16th. Is that right? Okay. Rabbi B'nai Labi, the founder of Svara, is known for saying that we find ourselves in the text. If you are looking for signs of queerness in the Jewish tradition, they are everywhere. And she says that if a donkey were to read the Torah, he, she, or they would find donkeys all over the text. But long before I ever thought about fertility, or at least my personal connection to it, I knew the Torah was all about infertility. Sarah struggles to get pregnant and requires God's intervention. Rebecca is barren and Isaac prays for her. Rachel can't get pregnant and is jealous of her sister Leah, who's very fertile. Hannah, the model of prayer, is praying for a child when Eli the priest calls her a drunk. If you had to name the quintessential experience of being a woman in the Torah, it would not be a stretch to say the core female experience is yearning for children, having trouble making them, and eventually carrying on the nation through your offspring. With this in mind, two core experiences of being Jewish today come to mind. First, being Jewish in community is oriented around a specific type of family unit. Married couples, usually straight ones, but not always, who want and decide to have kids are the model we most often see and celebrate. Our life cycle events are geared towards this progression, and those who don't fit this model often feel outside the community. Second, and perhaps even more surprising, we seem to think every couple of childbearing age can have a child whenever they want and feel no qualms asking them, when are you going to have kids? Are you thinking about a second? Even though our sacred texts remind us almost weekly at this season that many people yearn for children and can't have them, or require significant assistance, whether divine, medical, or financial, to bring children into their families, we seem to forget this when we are interacting with one another. And we forget how hurtful these questions might be. It seems to me that God in this Torah portion forgets this as well. The angels, disguised as weary travelers, announced to Abraham that next year at this time, Sarah will have a child. Sarah is listening, presumably from the kitchen, and she laughs. Seems surprising. God hears Sarah's laughter and questions why she doesn't instantly believe that she will have a child. She lies about her laughter, and the story moves on. So God, too, seems to think Sarah should easily believe a child is accessible immediately when promised. But God, or at least the Torah, is smarter than that. We know fertility is often a struggle, and that is one reason I'm giving this to our Torah. I want to address how both these core experiences that I mentioned before need to be talked about in our community. First, the former, the narrow definition of family-centered life in our tradition. I want to say to you all, yes, it is beautiful to celebrate couples and children, to hold ofrufs, bar and bat mitzvahs, b'nai mitzvahs, to ogle cute children. But we have to recognize that many people in our Jewish community don't fit these models, and they are equally valuable. Here at base, see a little bit of our home. Maybe we'll pan the camera to see a little more of our home. Here at base, we provide home for people 18 to their mid-30s who have left their parents' home, like Abraham and Sarah, and have not yet settled into their own home bases. We are taking one important step in recognizing that not all Jewish lives look the same. But this need doesn't end at age 35. And we as a community need to do more. Now on to the surprising nature of our expectation. And God's in this parsha that everyone can have a kid the minute they want to. A few minutes after Paige and I got married, we started planning to have a family. Let's be honest, we started planning on our third date, but we got to planning in detail. Most people realize when they look at us, a queer couple, that family creation is not going to be as simple as the birds and the bees. But Paige knows I got so angry every time someone said to us, "Isn't trying to have a kid fun?" I wanted to yell at them, "Yeah, it's fun as an annual trip to the gynecologist." Except a lot more often. Anyway, we had our first call with Howard Brown Health Clinic in July of 2016. And the clinician said to us, it takes people an average of 18 months to get pregnant. I was horrified. I had a timeline. I wanted a baby by 33. I was 32 at the time. Well, she was right. And we took longer than the average. 11 intrauterine inseminations, a miscarriage, a lot of vials of sperm, moving to a fertility clinic. I got pregnant with Bree about 2 years after that initial call. Paige and I are happy to discuss our journey with anyone who wants more detail or wants to talk. but I want to share a few things that may seem quite personal, but I think need to be said more often. 1. It was hard to go to various Jewish spaces, especially the 2 prayer communities we belonged to in Chicago during those years. It seemed everywhere we looked, someone had a new baby, the room was filled with pregnant people, and we couldn't avoid the programming oriented for children. It was painful. 2. While my brain knew eventually it would work out and we would grow our family somehow, many days it didn't feel that way. Maybe not as extreme as Sarah in her 90s, who understandably believes she is past her childbearing years, but Paige and I had to work hard to maintain hope. And 3. This is one of the hardest and takes us to a different moment in our Parsha. Sarah's low point, in my opinion, where she sees Ishmael, the son of her maidservant, playing, and she demands that Abraham cast out both Hagar and Ishmael. Now, I usually see this as a moment of Sarah's jealous entitlement as the wife rather than the servant of Abraham. But today I choose to read her more generously. I think perhaps Sarah, who had prayed for a child for perhaps over 90 years, may have been in a moment of postpartum depression. 3 months after Bree was born, I found myself at the lowest I had ever been. I felt trapped. I thought I was going to have to leave my family because I didn't think I was equipped for motherhood. I was lucky that this low was short and I quickly got support and help, but I recognize in myself the irrationality of those feelings. And I read Sarah's story today, I wonder if perhaps she was experiencing something similar. To wrap this up, you don't know what is going on for the people around you, even those you see regularly, even those who may eat at your table or who welcome you to their own. You don't know who is struggling to feel at home, who is struggling to build or maintain a family, who is in pain. This is why I so appreciate those who have been loving and welcoming to us and supportive through all of this, here in Chicago and long distance, all over the country, during this time, so we can have the energy to give love in our work. Really, we all need to be seen. Abraham and Sarah are seen by God and the angels, and so they are able to welcome their guests. Thank you for allowing me to share my story today. My blessing is that we can each be a bit more open, loving, and unassuming as we strive to live in the world as descendants of Abraham and Sarah. Shabbat Shalom.